I guess, for example, we saw two very different approaches last week. Bangladesh were quite patient. Not particularly. He's still the same quiet Cameron Green that you see. He's getting the meetings on time. I just got asked that a few times before. People will sit there and go, 18 wickets, it's a bad wicket. I think it's a very good day one wicket. I think it's probably played very similar to a Gabba wicket. You see probably a little bit tennis bally bounce early on day one at the Gabba, likewise today. Greasy underfoot to start. And probably later in the day today and again tomorrow, it's probably going to quicken up again. And once a bit of that hardness of the ball wears off, there's less sideways. But with the square that we've got here, it swung throughout the day. So pretty helter-skelter day of cricket. But I would say some good bowling led to 18 wickets as opposed to the wicket running and trying to hit stumps. That's been pretty much it. Run in and try and be aggressive, find some swing if it's there, and bring the stumps into play. As simple as that, really. But yeah, it's nice when it comes off and get us going in a bowling innings. And when you take a wicket the first ball, it's nice to know you've only got 9 more to get. Yeah, I think the 4 or 5 bowlers with Scotty on the side as well. We've played a lot of cricket together, and a lot of that stuff probably goes unspoken. And just knowing our roles in a group of bowlers, knowing what we need to do. I've known Josh since we were 17, so it's partnership bowling is pretty easy for us. So I saw last week he was on the end of the wickets column. Today he quite easily could have got a lot more, and a lot of balls beat the outside edge. I mean, it's nice when you get it right. Sometimes when you don't get it quite right, there's a few questions. Coming from a number 9 batter, I'm not going to be handing out batting tips. Look, there's clearly processes going on. I guess one that we can probably highlight is someone like Cameron Green. He's found a process that's working for him. It was a fantastic 100 last week. A great partnership with Steve today, and to be out there at stumps, he's obviously doing the work and found a process that's finding some time in the middle, but finding a way to score runs and build partnerships. And that's what we ask is probably those partnerships and spending some time out there. So sometimes it's going to come off. Everyone always wants more runs and more wickets. If it was easy, you lot would be playing Test cricket too. So it's one of the funnier things I've seen is the side-on slow-mo of Bo looking like he's trying to take a mark inside 50 and it hitting him in the chest before he's even known it as. So, yeah. He said he thought it was one of those little lob-up ones and he was going to have to dive. But before he had to move, he hit him in the chest. Asking the bowler the batting question. No. I don't look at that much footage and that sort of thing, so I couldn't tell you if techniques have changed or what guys are working on. Clearly, when the ball does move, that creates opportunities. And saw when it was pretty flat last week and the ball was going straight, it was pretty easy batting. And the ball moves sideways and the ball swings. I think that the breeze that comes across the ground here and a lush square is going to keep that ball quite shiny, and we saw it still swinging in the last couple of overs of the day. So that obviously presents a challenge when the ball's, funnily enough, when the ball doesn't go straight, it's hard to play. So, chicken or the egg, is it good bowling or bad batting? I guess, for example, we saw two very different approaches last week. Bangladesh were quite patient. They left the ball away from the stumps when it was brand new and swinging and moving. I thought we arguably bowled better last week than we did this week with the new ball. I bowled half volleys and I nicked them. So a patience game last week, and I guess if you want to compare it to the way England have approached it, and certainly we were scoring pretty quickly today, but we finished the day 8 down. So, there's different ways to go about it as a batting group, as teams, against different bowlers and different conditions. I'm not going to sit here and say one way is right or wrong. Yeah, well, clearly we bowled first today, so it was an assumption that there was going to be enough in the wicket with first use, and we did see that. We saw some sideways movement, some swing. They're clearly a shorter batting unit as opposed to what we bowled to in the nets. So I thought we bowled quite well last week, particularly with the new ball. I think there's a lot of balls that passed the bat, past the outside edge, probably didn't bowl full enough to a short batting group. And then with their patient approach, you can bowl half volleys at swing here and they're going to nick him. Obviously, assistance in the wicket as well. So we didn't have to change a lot from last week. It was they're going to be a patient batting unit. They're going to leave balls away from the stumps. We did have more assistance today than we did last week. Held some catches and got to sit down. We probably twofold looked at the way they were playing. Last week was probably that tennis ball he bounced was a slower wicket. Early on, the bounce was probably going over the stumps, and then to the short guys, they were happy leaving him, and they batted really well. Given that, they left well, they played well, they were patient. Coming here, a lot of us have played at the Gabba. A lot of us haven't played here, but there was a lot of similarities. So it's bring the stumps into play, bring that outside edge into play. We're not going to get hurt too much on the drive because they're being patient, but with the ball, with the assistance of the wicket, if we can get that ball fuller and bring in the outside edge, bring in the stumps a bit more, make them play a bit more. Not particularly. He's still the same quiet Cameron Green that you see. He's getting the meetings on time. No, look, it was fantastic for him. He's obviously, been going through a process of his own, and whether he pays attention to outside noise, there was clearly some there for a few guys, and I thought he played fantastic last week for that 100. He's first in Australia as well. It was great to see, and then I think he's backed it up again today in arguably harder conditions. Well, definitely harder conditions. He's played. He's in a good partnership with Steve. I think he's been really solid, and you'd have to ask him if he's changed anything in terms of his approach or his technique or his mindset. But whatever he's doing is paying off for him.